Ideals like peace, freedom, and justice, they get packed up, but we can all go home. Well, I'm not going home. I'm gonna get on my boat, and I'm going upriver, and I'm going to kick that son of a bitch bison's ass so hard that the next bison wannabe is gonna feel it. Now, who wants to go home? And who wants to go with me?
Welcome to the Rated G for Gamers podcast, episode 318. Before we start the show, we want to thank all of our wonderful fans who have supported us. And if you want to show support for the Rated G network, you can find us on Patreon at patreon.com/Rated G for Gamers. You can also find us on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Rated G for Gamers. And finally, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. We appreciate all the love. I'm your host, Dave Bertino, and this is my co-host, Dan, the podcaster formerly known as Classic Robinson.
What's going on, man?
Oh, loving it, Dan. This week, and I know we don't necessarily say that a lot, we got a very special episode. Special guest coming on the show, Patrick Hickey Jr. I mean, he's a writer, he's a voice actor, he's got his own
everything.
Comic series.
He's a jack of all trades.
It's a Renaissance man. So very excited to talk to him. I got to meet up with him at PAX East. I think I talked a little bit about it on the PAX recap episode when we got back. And we were kind of chatting a little bit. And really interesting dude. Very excited to talk with him after second break.
No. I'm very excited to ask the most important question he'll ever be asked. In his entire life.
Oh! Are you ready to be disappointed, Dan? I know in the background you still have the Super Mario World poster up.
I'm not.
You're subliminally repping the game very hard.
I'm not doing anything. I'm just,
I don't like your politicking, Dan. That's not fair. That's not fair.
There's a right answer and there's a wrong answer.
You are correct, but every single time skirt the edge of tainting our guest's answer. All right? You always do that, and I have to stop you. I said, no. Keep it fair.
I don't have leading question.
I don't have to do that, Dan. I don't have to do that because I'm confident that Super Mario Bros. 3 is the best game of all time. I know it is. All right? The guests can have their own opinions, and he will have to defend it later on in the show.
You've been called delusional more than once.
Delusional? I mean, I've been called a number of things, Dan, but most of them aren't true.
Delusional, yes.
Oh, I love it. So can't wait to talk to him, and can't wait to see what his answer is.
Well, yeah, we're going to talk to him later in the show. Mm-hmm. But if you listen to this show, I'll be on the beach somewhere in the Caribbean, chilling, hanging out, and enjoying my 25th birthday because I won't be here when this show airs.
There you go. Sipping Mai Tais, catching some rays.
I'm not a big water person. I don't want to get eaten by a shark. I've watched too many Jaws movies. Okay.
There's really only one you need to see, and even that is kind of fantastical. There's a lot of myths about sharks, Dan.
Don't want to see any of that stuff. I'm good. Right? I'm not going to be water skiing or any of it. Once the water is past my knees, that's where you stop. Okay, that's where you stop. And I'm tall. And I'm tall.
Foot and a half deep, maybe like 2 feet at best. Maybe like 2 feet.
I'm good.
Maybe.
I'm good. That's it.
Wow.
I'm not trying to eat.
Man.
I'm not trying to be on the Discovery Channel. It's Shark Week, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Coming up soon. I'm not trying to be on Shark Week one day.
So hold on. Can I tell you like a quick story from back in the day?
Did you almost get eaten by a shark?
No. It's not about me, but it's about my cousins.
Did your cousin almost get eaten by a shark?
No. It's not shark related. We were down in the Jersey Shore, on the other beach. So it was me and my brother, my parents, my cousins, and my aunt and uncle, and my brother Mark and Steven and Matt were out boogie boarding in the water, and I was making sandcastles on the beach. Right, I was kind of doing my thing. And I was like close to where my parents were and whatnot, and like I'm really going at this like hole in the sandcastle and making it real elaborate. I'm like all into it. I was there all morning, and we see the beach police come down, right? And everyone's like gathering around and like looking around.
Wait, beach police?
Yeah. You know,
How about just the police that just so happen to be on the beach.
They're specifically there to keep the peace on the beach. It's kind of a thing.
Okay, so basically you had Baywatch.
No, because they have like quads and whatnot, so they have actual vehicles. They don't just run on foot. Okay. But we're getting off the story. So the police, I will just say the police come, and the lifeguards are all like up and about and whatever. And I was like, oh, something's going on or whatever. And then like, I get back to my parents and I hear that there was a mother and a kid, and they were kind of playing in the water, and a big wave comes by, and then the kid's no longer there.
Whoa.
And the mother, she was going frantic, and she's digging in the water and like searching for the kid and all that, right? So flash forward like, you know, a bunch of maybe an hour or two later, maybe like a little more than that. I don't even know if they ever found the kid, to be honest. I forget.
This is a morbid story. I'm just talking about eating sharks.
Well, hold on. It's an interesting story. So, like I said, my brother and my cousins were out on the water, and they were, you know, riding the waves back and forth, in and out. And we all come back to the house to have a dinner. And my cousin remarks, I think Steven remarks that, because we were all talking about the situation with the kid and all that, and he's like, you know, when we were out on the water, we got taken in by a wave, and like on the way back out, he remarked that, oh my God, and he went like, and he's like, wow, that felt like a body, right? Just as like, whoa, that felt really weird, and then also paid it no mind, right? And then just kind of went on with the swimming and all that, because you're not gonna really expect to see a body when you go and look down, right? That's never the thing. But it could have been that he brushed against the kid.
All right, this is even more morbid than he can eat by a shark. At least that's exciting. That's sad.
It's an interesting story.
That wasn't interesting. That was sad.
If you were eaten by a shark, Dan, I would be sad. The outcome is still the same. It's a sad story either way. I would be mourning the death.
That's all right. That's a morbid. All right, you just brought me down. I'm expecting.
I'm sorry.
I'm expecting you and your cousins were in the water. You saw a shark fin. Everyone went crazy, and everyone started running out.
No,
we're talking about sharks. You're talking about
surprisingly, never have seen a shark in the large amount of time I've spent in the water.
All right, so
which is interesting.
I'm from Far Rockaway,
mm-hmm.
and I did see sharks in the past,
mm-hmm.
growing up, because I grew up on what we call the ocean side, because Rockaway is like an island. The one side is the bay, and then you have Brooklyn or JFK, depending on what part of Rockaway you're at, and then the other side is just the ocean.
Yeah.
So
part of the Atlantic.
I've seen the shark get lost, and you know, we've seen poachers too, because one year it was like a big thing. It was probably on the news, in the newspaper. I know it was in the newspaper, so it was probably on the news that we had like crazy jellyfish,
mm-hmm.
like a jellyfish population growing, because we had poachers, because usually the sharks would eat the jellyfish
right
that year.
Right.
So there was like a big thing to stop the poachers. That's an interesting story. You had a morbid story, okay? So
Listen,
yeah.
it's a thing that happened. It's not like it's fresh. You know, this was like 30 years ago, 40 years ago. I think I was like 8 at the time, I think.
Okay, so it was 50 years ago.
Ages ago.
All right, so look. Let's talk about my trip. I'm going back.
Yeah, you're going down to the Caribbean. You're not going to go in the water because you're afraid of sharks.
I'm not going to be in the water. I'm screwed. I'm not jet skiing or doing any of that stuff. I'm good.
My God. I'm okay, out, man. You're missing out. You're not going to go paragliding or parasailing?
No way in hell I'm not doing that. I'm good. I'm going to stick to my rule, my safety rule. If the water goes past your knees, it's a stop. So it's a hard stop for me. That's it. Not doing it. Not doing it.
Look, as long as you have a good time.
Once the water passes your knees, it turns into Elden Ring. Too difficult to deal with. So I'm not going out. I'm not going out. I'm good.
You want to stay in the Yoshi's Woolly World kiddie pool. I see.
Yep. Damn right. It's safer there.
You're right. You're right.
There's no big waves. There's no sharks.
You want the Prince of Persia reboot where it always picks you up if you fall off a ledge.
There you go. That's what I want. All right. Well,
love it.
All right. Let's circle back.
Mm-hmm.
We have a great show. We have an awesome show this week.
Mm-hmm. No sharks. No sharks.
No sharks. No sharks. No shark attack. But we will talk about Jeff Keighley hyping up Summer Games Fest that's coming up next month. Mm-hmm. And Sony announces the next state of play. All right. But before we get into any of that, let's begin the show with the notable games coming out in June. All right. And as always, all game release dates I get from Game Informer. So if you have any issues or I missed an important game, blame them because that's where I get my list from.
There you go. Dan Robinson taking responsibility.
Yeah, that's how I always do. All right, first big game of June. We have June 10th, Mario Strikers Battle League. That's coming out on Switch.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely looking forward to picking that up. I'm definitely getting that. I want to try that out.
It's been a long time. The last Mario Kart game was, I think, Strikers Charged or Strikers.
Last Mario Strikers game is that kart.
Yeah, Charged. Yeah. For the Wii, I think, way back in the day.
Yeah.
So
well, there only been what? You've only been what? The Mario. It was a Strikers game in the GameCube, right? 'Cause that's where it debuted.
That was the first one. Yeah.
I think there was one on the DS or the 3DS, I believe.
And the Wii, and that's it.
And then the Wii.
And that's it.
So.
Yeah.
Sonic Origins coming out for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC. No Stadia, surprisingly.
Nope.
Coming out June 23rd.
And this also, if they haven't done it already, is going to be the only way that you can get the original games. They've all been delisted. If they haven't, they're being delisted very soon because this game is coming out in a couple weeks. So prepare yourself for that.
And unless they had a physical edition, I'm probably not going to get it. I'll pick this up. A game that they do have a physical edition, and I will be picking it up. I just don't know what platform. That's Capcom Fighting Collection. Come out for PS4, Xbox One, Switch, PC. No Stadia.
Yep.
June 24th.
Yep.
At this point, if a game comes out on Switch and everything else, it should come out on Stadia. I just don't understand. This is a missed opportunity.
No, it shouldn't because the service is all but dead. It's sitting out in the backyard. It ain't moving.
Still alive.
Right? It ain't doing it. Yeah, it's barely alive though. You know, they're gonna go get the shotgun and take out Old Yeller eventually. I'm surprised they haven't yet. I was fighting the good fight for a long while, and
you were.
They were making mistake after mistake, and then Jade Raymond left, and I was like, all right, you guys aren't doing anything with this service. It's basically done.
But I'm definitely looking forward to playing that game. I just don't know if I want to get it on the Switch or the PS4. That's my only thing.
This is all like the kind of not street. I think there is a Street Fighter game or two in there, but this is more like all the Darkstalker fighting games.
Yeah.
Right. I think that Capcom crossover fighting game, Capcom Fighting Jam, I think is in there, and a couple other ones. So this is not your traditional hey, here's all the Street Fighter games again. So
They had the mini fighters, right? Mini fighters. In this game,
Pocket
too.
Fighter, yeah.
Pocket
Pocket
Fighters,
Fighter's
yeah.
in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is also one that doesn't get talked about a lot. A lot of people don't know they made a chibi or a super deformed fighting game with some Darkstalkers characters and a bunch of Street Fighter characters, 3-button fighter. It's very good. It's fun. Fun game, yeah.
We got Fire Emblem Warriors, Rehope.
Mm-hmm.
That's coming out June 4th on the Switch as well. And we have MX and ATV Legends coming out for PS5, Xbox Series, PS4, Xbox One, PC. And that's supposed to come out June 25th.
The long-running series that started on the PS2. I mean, this has a long history of games, and they keep making new ones, which is awesome. You know, it's nice getting some off-road games. It's not a Sony exclusive, although I think a lot of people attribute it to PlayStation systems. But it's owned by THQ Nordic now, so they are the ones who are publishing this game, and should be good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Also good. We got more games for the Nintendo Online service for the NES and for the SNES. We got Congo's Caper by Data East. Came out in 1993. That was a Super Nintendo game, right? We got Rival Turf, came out in 92. And then we got just Pinball, the NES pinball game.
Yep.
That was a black box game, if I recall, right? That was like one of the original black box games.
It was it was a black box title. Yeah, definitely one of the first games to come out. Not a great selection. I think Rival Turf is the best of the three. That's part of the Jalico trilogy of beat 'em up games. I know I talked about, and the name escapes me right now. I talked about the third one in the series that I played on Saturday Morning Retro a bunch of episodes ago. And that was good. And I remember Rival Turf being pretty fun. It's obviously a Final Fight clone. All right. But it's, it's solid for what it is.
I'm not gonna lie, I've played Congo's Caper.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the best game that came out.
Sure.
I like that game.
Sure.
That's yeah, man. That's a side scroller. You got the club, and it's weird because you jump. You have like a normal jump, and then you have like a high jump, and you have to like push up to do the high jump. It's not perfect by any means, like just the mechanics, right? It's not a 1-to-1. I can remember I'm like, why am I not jumping like when I want to jump high?
Right.
But I thought it was I liked it. I love
there you go.
hidden gems.
It's a decent game. There you go.
So is Rival Turf.
Oh yeah, no, 100%. Yeah, these are not A-tier games.
No, but at least you're still getting NES, SNES games, and if you have the expansion pack, they've been releasing N64 game. I feel like every 6 weeks, right? You get another N64 game, and they just released 2 Sega Genesis games. Now all they have to do is produce more stupid controllers because I missed the last batch of N64 controllers.
There you go. You heard him, Nintendo. Get on that.
All right, Dave. As we always try to start the show, but epically fail. What have you been playing?
Oh, well, you know what I've been playing, Dan? Not Elden Ring. Surprise.
I'm surprised. Not gonna lie, I thought you were gonna say you still in the Elden Ring. You're halfway finished with it.
No, I went back to Returnal because they have all this new content in there.
Another hard game, another super hard, difficult.
Yeah, but it's very satisfying, and they added the tower of Sisyphus, which is like the challenge tower. So that's like an optional side thing that you can do.
Sounds like an STD. Sorry.
Sisyphus? No, it's not the Tower of Syphilis. It's the Tower of Sisyphus, which is funny because the story of Sisyphus is that he was forced to.
Down there?
No. He was forced to roll a boulder up a hill. And if he gets the boulder to the top or whatever, I think he gets some sort of riches or whatever, or this and that. But the thing of it is that you can never get the boulder to the top because it just keeps going and going. So whenever they say something is a Sisyphean effort, it's just you just keep doing it over and over again. You just keep falling down and trying to go back up, and you never get to the top. It never ends. So
many things I can say about that, but I'm gonna leave it.
Okay. Well, it's fun. It's a challenge mode that's outside the regular game, so you just do a bunch of random floors and just keep going up and up and up. So they're little like challenge rooms. It's pretty cool. Plus, I still have the regular game to beat. I'm in the third area. I got 2 more bosses to go, and then I think I get to the end. So I'm gonna make it happen.
Okay.
So what have you been playing, Dan?
So I jumped back into Spiderman. I jump in and out. I mean, it's the only reason. I mean, it's a digital game. I have the PS5 version, which I never put out physical for. It's only a digital, and I'm like 80% done with it. Like
the OG Spider-Man, not the Miles Morales add-on.
The OG, OG Spider-Man.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like 5 backpacks away from getting all the backpacks.
Yeah.
I've beat all of like. I've saved every neighborhood. Like every neighborhood, you have to like save like 5 random stuff. I did all of that. I've liberated all of the stash houses where all the enemies are. I've beaten all of those things. You
did all the towers and all that. Yeah.
So
are you trying to 100% it?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
But when I don't know what to play and I know I want to play something, it's always easy just to pop into Spider-Man and just like, oh, there's an outpost. Let me just beat it.
Yep.
I'm probably never gonna 100% it because I don't like those random like you gotta get the pigeons, find all the pigeons. And, I don't want to do any of that stuff.
Yeah, those and like the ring challenges are.
I hate the ring challenges. I don't want to do any of that stuff
because it's a speed trial and you gotta be precise with it.
Yeah, I don't want to find the bomb. I think find the bomb was in Miles Morales. But I don't want to do any of that stuff. That's not. I want the enemies, and I want to beat them up. That's all. That's all I want. So, been doing that. I've been playing HOA, or HOA.
Right.
However you call it. It's a PS5 game.
The Homeowners Association.
The Homeowners Association game. And it makes sense because, you're in a forest. It's, it's a platformer in the forest. And I can see where they were going with it, right? Because every time you collect certain things and you find like the magical insect and bring them and wake them up, you get like a different ability that gets you to the next level.
Okay.
And it's supposed to be sort of like calming, right? Because it's like nature and all that stuff. But there's no story. There's nothing to compel me to push me forward at all in any way. And it's an interesting platformer. You definitely need a podcast. You definitely need a podcast to play or something.
You need something on in the background,
keep your well, at least for me, to keep my mind like at ease because I think it's kind of boring. It's kind of boring. I've played about 2 hours. It's a good platformer, but it's nothing to keep me engaged.
So it's on the low end if you're going to rate it on the day scale. That's what it's.
Yeah, I see what they were going with it, but and I could see if they had a little bit more action, or if it was raining, it was thunderstorming, and that impede my progress to go, or there's a huge dragonfly or something attacking me or chasing me or something interesting. It's kind of just blah.
Okay.
That's it. That's all.
Okay.
So. I am going to go back to it. I always give a game 2 fair chances, so I will go back to it. And I want to go back to Cyberpunk 2077. I actually got stuck. I got stuck somewhere, and I wanted to take a break.
Like stuck as in bug stuck, or stuck as in I couldn't get past this part stuck.
No. I just couldn't get past it. I was doing a side mission. Okay. I was doing a side mission, make some money. I'm trying to find this doctor, and I need 15,000 credits.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got stuck, and I still don't have a car. So that's where I'm at.
Man's got goals.
Why don't we take a break? And we'll come back. We're getting to the top gaming news of last week. we're back. All right, let's get into the top gaming news of last week. We have to start what I think is a shock to me when I heard this, and I think this is a blockbuster. This is big. This is huge. The aforementioned Spider-Man game that I was just talking about earlier in the show could have been an Xbox exclusive, according to Marvel. When Disney bought Marvel, right? When Disney bought Star Wars and, all the Marvel movies was coming out, they wanted to get serious about video game, right? They wanted to have AAA great experiences, not the trash that we got when we were growing up.
Hey, those games on Super Nintendo were fantastic.
Yeah, not on a Dave scale.
Super Star Wars? Come on now.
What about that Wolverine game?
It depends on which one you're talking about, but
yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Depends on which one you're talking about. There were many Wolverine games.
Yeah. Well, apparently, according to Marvel, they wanted to have a Spider-Man game in the same vein as Batman Arkham, right? They wanted to have their Batman Arkham with the Spider-Man skin on it.
Well,
So
they definitely got it. I mean, that PlayStation game, not exactly, but it plays very much like an Arkham game.
So apparently they thought about Nintendo, right? It was a thought. They never approached them, but they said they didn't approach them because they figured Nintendo likes to focus on their own IP, like heavily, right?
They do.
Which is fair. A fair assumption. And then they went to Microsoft next. And this is in 2013, 2014. No, this was in 2014. And they went to Microsoft and pitched having exclusivity for Marvel game, right? Making AAA games exclusive to Xbox, Xbox brand, Xbox One at the time. And Microsoft, which was in flux, if you remember, in 2014, that was a terrible year for Microsoft. Xbox One wasn't doing so well. The head of Microsoft, Mr. Nadella, wasn't giving any attention or money or focus to the Xbox brand, right?
Yeah.
And
those were the Don Matrick. Those were the Don Matrick years before Phil Spencer, who turned it all around. So.
And then there were talks. There were talks of console gaming dying, right? There were still talks of console gaming being dead.
Yeah.
So Microsoft declined to, because not to mention, as Rewind, even having exclusivity, they would have to pay for that, right? So not only they'll get Spider-Man for them, but they would have to pay for the right to have that license and make games.
And the exclusivity, so the rights would be even more than, So it's a whole situation.
Yeah. So they turned it down to focus more on their own IP, Gears, Halo, Forza.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then after they turned it down, they went to Sony. But imagine how last generation would have turned out if Microsoft would have had Spider-Man.
I don't think it would have been
Morales.
I don't think
Spider-Man 2 with Venom.
One game wouldn't do
franchise.
it. One game wouldn't do it.
I disagree to the extent that I don't think it would have.
It would have helped, for sure.
I think it would have helped tremendously.
Amazing. Yeah,
I think it would have helped tremendously. And I think a lot of people. Spider-Man's huge. Spider-Man is the biggest Marvel character.
Oh yeah,
right?
No.
So,
he's widely recognized, especially in America. He's a huge selling property. He makes for a great video game because he's got superhero powers. He swings around, right? You already got mechanics that are built in that are just fun out of the box, so you don't have to try really hard to make a good game. A lot of the Spider-Man games are pretty much always fun. It's hard to make a bad Spider-Man game.
Just imagine you had Gears, Halo, Fable. I know someone
to some extent, sure, Fable. Yeah. It's a game.
Perfect Dark, and Spider-Man, and Spider-Man on top of now Call of Duty going forward, right? And all that, all the
all of the Bethesda titles
and Bethesda,
yeah. Well, I mean, I think part of the situation too, knowing that they went to Xbox or Microsoft first, and Nadella shot them down, and this and that, We know that Microsoft stated that, and I think even Phil Spencer said that we're more focused on multiplayer experiences than single player experiences. And Sony,
that was later on. That was later
fired
on,
back.
but yeah.
Well, right. But that probably was the
on.
mantra internally that they didn't publicly say yet. And even if it wasn't, they weren't necessarily putting out a lot of big single player experiences, sans like the Halo single player. But that would always come packed with multiplayer. And they would support multiplayer, for a good couple of years. Same thing with Gears, right? Everybody plays the online multiplayer portion. The story is fine for what it is, but it's not really the center stage. So I just
for Gears, I think it's a little different. I think people do play the story. I mean, it's not like Call of Duty. I mean, Gears.
Sure.
Gears a little bit more towards the story elements. Unlike Call of Duty, where people just don't care. Most people don't care about the story.
Right. Call of Duty specifically for the multiplayer experience. Yeah. So,
but I mean, there is a backdrop to this. There's another backdrop to this story. Apparently, they had to cancel sort of their relationship with Activision, the contract, because they had a contract with Activision. Spider-Man had the rights. Activision had the rights to make Spider-Man.
They had Spider-Man back to the PS1 days.
Yeah, that's true. And those games were actually
the movie
good
franchise.
in the beginning.
Yeah.
And they said, okay, well, if you want to find a unicorn specifically, right, go ahead. Good luck. And look how that turned out.
Yeah, right. This is the best thing that Sony ever did. Snatching up
if Marvel would have kept the relationship with Activision, now Activision, it would have came to Microsoft.
It would have been Microsoft owned anyway. Yeah.
Look at that.
Full circle.
Just imagine we had an E3 press conference with Phil Spencer up there, and it's like, and here's our next Spider-Man game, exclusive to the Xbox.
Yeah, it's just an extra jewel in Thanos' glove, right? Microsoft's got like 5 out of the 6, right? They just need one more big company. If they get like Ubisoft, it's like boom, that's it.
I don't think they can. I don't think the government will allow them to buy any other big games right now.
Yeah. I mean, they're already they're getting a little big.
And the funny thing is, they have to honor the contracts that have already been signed. And apparently, Sony has sort of like the marketing rights for Call of Duty until 2025.
Mm-hmm.
So even if they do buy them, when the purchase goes through in the summer of next year, right? Still 2023. 2024 and 2025, the next 3 Call of Duty games will have the marketing, have the Sony marketing, which is so odd to have the Sony marketing, and then you'll have the Xbox logo under it.
It is, but you know what? At the end of the day, Microsoft wins because they're making more sales. So no matter what,
so they
whether it's exclusive or not exclusive, they have the marketing rights or not. People are going to buy it.
All right. This is E3 time. This is the time where I would be excited because it would be the Super Bowl of video games, where everybody would come together as one and unite just to give us game announcements. And it would be super hectic for us too, because we would literally have no life for like 4 or 5 days. We're not there, but we're covering it. We're watching everything, and we're doing 4 or 5 shows in a row to put up.
Yep.
And that's not going to happen. At least not like it usually happens.
Nope.
It's going to be more spread out, but not as spread out as it was in, a jumbled mess for the last 2 years. Jeff Keighley is hyping his Summer Game Fest. I always say games, but it's Summer Game Fest. Not plural, singular.
Right.
And he's saying we will have less third-party shows because they've learned their lesson that if they don't have any big game announcements, padding it out with developer interviews and gameplay of games that are already out or coming out that we're already seeing, doesn't work. It doesn't get people hyped, doesn't get people interested. If anything, it's a negative effect on the company. And I think he's saying all of this to say they're, Capcom, Squaresoft, companies like that had terrible press conferences last year are going to come to him and have, the Summer Games Fest is going to be more organized and have more bigger announcements. right? Capcom, if only they have Street Fighter 6, which they already announced, but we haven't seen anything.
That's all they need, right? It'll be wrapped into Keighley's bigger Games Fest with a bunch of announcements. Yeah, so they all kind of like ride the wave of everything.
It's a win-win because a company like Capcom doesn't have to have that negative. Other than Street Fighter 6,
what did they have? Absolutely nothing. Yeah.
It was 5 minutes of gameplay, and we thought we were going to see something else, and it was like an hour of developer interviews on how they designed the new Ryu model, right?
No Mega Man, no Devil May Cry, no Bionic Commando, no Darkstar, no nothing. No other fighting games. What do you got? Got a Resident Evil mobile pocket game and the developer interview for it.
Well, we got June 9th. Jeff Keighley, starts it off.
That is legit the time that E3 would be starting. Yeah.
And then 3 days later, not the next day, because E3 would be the next day. 3 days later, June 12th, we got the Xbox and Bethesda showcase. So,
which should be big.
I'm looking forward to both.
Now, who gets the Activision Blizzard announcements?
I think that
those
stays because they don't own them yet. I think the next Call of Duty
goes to PlayStation on the stage.
Go to PlayStation, and I think it stays the same. They don't own them, so it's not. It's not a situation next year. Watch, it's going to be Xbox Bethesda Activision showcase.
They're going to have E3, and this is going to be them. Because they'll have enough.
That's all.
Yeah.
But Sony looks like it's kicking off the E3 season, as they have officially announced the next PlayStation State of Play coming June 2nd. Now, traditionally, State of Plays have been the equivalent of Nintendo Direct Mini, right? This is not where you get your Metroid Prime 4 announcements, right? In a Mini, you get like DLC updates to games that are coming, and maybe some indie. So I think, and Sony likes to focus their State of Play, so that if there's like one specific thing they want to like showcase, like gameplay of Days Gone or anything like that, like they will have a dedicated State of Play.
Well, this is, what is essentially the E3 week. Do you think that Sony's going to come out with something bigger, right? Name aside.
Nope.
Really? I think they need to make a big splash in the middle of this.
I think the biggest thing we'll see at this State of Play potentially will be the Last of Us remake that was rumored that was going to be in the works. I think we'll get DLC for games. Maybe some third party stuff. Maybe a Call of Duty. Maybe a Call of Duty gameplay or whatever, the marketing for Call of Duty. Some DLC, some indie games, and then they'll end it with the Last of Us remake.
Okay. I think they're going to show the PlayStation Plus, all the new stuff.
And PlayStation Plus. And
they're definitely going to show all that.
And PlayStation Plus.
And I'm going to take a nap. They're going to show all that, and I'm going to take a nap, if that's what it's going to be. Now, if you're saying, like, this is small, there's going to be a big one, do you think that's going to come over the summer, maybe in a month or whatever? The last
PlayStation showcase was at the end of the middle of September, which is still the summer technically.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I think we may get something like that. I think this is a smaller thing just to wet the palate, right? We'll get PlayStation Plus, the new PlayStation Plus tiers, and like an official announcement with graphic in the games. We'll definitely get, I think maybe at the end of it we'll get the Last of Us remake. If PlayStation VR 2 is ready to go prime time, I think we'll get another State of Play at some point over the summer. And then and that would be dedicated to VR. That's it. And then a showcase with like the big game announcement. And I think, you know what? I take that back. we definitely will get PlayStation Plus tiers official announcement.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna get a release date for God of War Ragnarok.
We need to get some gameplay footage of that.
We'll get some gameplay, and we'll get a release date. More important, we'll get a release date, and then I think they'll end it with The Last of Us, the original Last of Us remake for the PS5. It'll be
the second
a director's cut.
The second remake?
Cut. It'll be the director's cut. It's not gonna be called the remake. It's gonna be the original Last of Us director's cut.
We already have the remaster, which was important because the PlayStation 3 games are incompatible. The disc version, at least, is incompatible with any other system. So it was smart of them to port one of the best games that came out at the end of that PS3 life cycle to put it on the
all
PS4.
the DLC.
That's how I played it, and it was
DLC.
amazing. Right? They had some enhancements to it, some small enhancements, but enhancements nonetheless, and it was great. I loved it. But that game can be played on a PS5. I don't think it needs another remake. It still looks and plays amazing.
You don't want the 4K graphics?
You don't need the 4. It's got 1080p visuals. It's really nice. It holds up well. It's a good looking game. You know,
Dave. They need their director cut version. They have to.
Everything.
Everything needs the director's cut version.
Yeah, I mean, Death Stranding got it, right? This game's probably gonna get it.
I'm just waiting for Days Gone to have the Days Gone director's cut.
No, Days Gone is legitimately Days Gone.
Gone.
Yes, it is. It is gone.
No.
Yeah, that franchise is over, sadly.
Well, maybe one of the things we'll see is some more information on the new Hogwarts Legacy game, right? I mean, it will have PS5 exclusive features. The DualSense, which we both talked about when the PlayStation 5 was first announced, and the controller, they really touted how different the controller is. We said, hey, will this be a gimmick in the beginning and then taper off where people won't care about it, right? Other than the first party studios, right? It's been 2.5 years since these systems have been out.
Yep.
This is a third party, not first party game, right? This is a third party game coming out, and they are going all in on the DualSense, where they want to make you feel like you're holding a wand. You have the triggers where, if you don't have any magic, it won't go all the way down. If you have any magic to do with the wand. Like, I really like this game, and I'm really looking forward to the game, and I'm really looking forward to play it on DualSense.
It's the Harry Potter game that always should have been. But it was never. I mean, hell, they started off on the PS1 and they were rough. It was
they were really rough.
It was like a Crash Bandicoot game or like a third-rate Mario game in 3D, where you just kind of run around and bop on people's heads. That's what the games were, because they didn't have the technology. I really want you to pick a PS1 Harry Potter game and play it for Saturday morning. Saturday morning retro. Well, listen, I will do that. I will play the Chamber of Secrets down, and I will tell you how terrible that game is, because they were rough. But it was like the potential, because Harry Potter, like reading the Harry Potter books and then seeing it come to the screen, and then you get all like the amazing visuals and the CG and the monsters and all that. It's like, wow, this is amazing. And now we finally get to have the game, right? There was. Yeah, when they got to the PS2 era, they were like, okay, they were a little more fleshed out, but they were still kind of like budget movie tie-in titles.
True.
You're right. I'm with you on this. I like the trigger functionality in there. It'll be more than just magic when you're riding the creatures or the broomsticks or the whatever. Like, you're gonna get a lot of feedback on there, and it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good.
All right, this last item on the docket. Talk about, and I think I mentioned it, I don't know if it was last episode, a couple episodes ago, where they found a 360 washed at sea, right? It didn't have a shell, it was just the innards. Where did this 360 come from? I don't know. Did it work? Of course not. The salt water probably killed that. But now someone on Reddit posted they saved a PS3, the PS3, the second version, second model, they saved it from the swamp. It was in the swamp water, and that dirty water. Oh my! He's trying to get it to work.
Right.
It's not working. There's a lot of things inside that living inside it made it.
Sure, there's a lot of seaweed and krill and fish.
He said there's a lot of insects in there too.
Yeah.
That made that PS3 a home.
Oh my god.
As I saw this video of him taking it out of the swamp, I was just hoping he'd get eaten by an alligator or anything. I don't know where he is. I don't know where he was.
Right. Well, he's definitely down south somewhere. Yeah.
But if he's in a swamp, he's definitely down south. And if he's like, Mississippi, Alabama, or Florida, they do have gators. Mm-hmm. All right, gators are no joke down there. They will take your arm. They will take your arm off.
That's right. I almost had my leg bit off by a gator. It was great.
All right, you know what? I don't want to hear any more stories. Okay? Because you're gonna tell me about this gator story, and then there was a missing family in a cabin somewhere.
Family.
So I don't want to hear anymore.
You know how it turns out, Dan. I still have both my legs, so we're good.
Well, technically, I've never seen your legs, so I don't know if they're real.
What do you mean you've never seen my legs?
I've never seen your legs.
Yes. Wait, are you going senile? Are you the 90-year-old Dan Robinson?
I've never actually seen your
Wow.
legs.
All right, this guy's writing revisionist history over here.
I mean, you have pants on.
Folks,
you have
Dan
pants.
is. Well, you think I have a fake leg under there? Like I fought in World War II?
Maybe I don't know. Maybe you've learned to walk with a prosthetic leg. I don't know. I've never seen you run. I've never seen you run.
Let's just say I was in a fan boat in Louisiana with some friends of mine for a bachelor party, and the dude who was running the boat was
bad combination. Bachelor party in a fan boat.
It was all right. We weren't really drinking yet, but he was throwing raw chicken to get the gators to come up, and he got one to come up on the side of the fan boat where I was sitting on the left-hand side. And I'm kind of talking to my friend looking over like this. And the guy running the thing is like, you better watch your leg over there. And it was like this close to my foot. And I was, whoa! And I like pulled it away. And like, I think it was fine. Cause like the dude knew what he was doing. Like he was able to like flip him over and like rub the belly and all that. Like he knew how to work with him, but yeah, that could have been it then.
I'm just waiting for you to tell me there's a missing family in a cabin.
No. That is the beginning end of that story.
Because that's where your stories usually go in this episode. So okay, all right, no missing kids, no missing family,
no missing legs, no everything's intact.
Well, that I don't know.
Families and body parts, Dan, all intact. Okay. I'm telling you.
Well, I'm gonna take your word for it that you got both your legs. Okay, because I've never seen them. And we've never run in front of me. So I don't know. I don't know if you can run.
Jesus.
I'm just saying.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. Well, with that being said, we're going to take one more break. Mm-hmm. When we come back, we're going to get into it with our special guest, Patrick Hickey Jr.
And we're back. On the show, special guest, Patrick Hickey Jr. Welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? Happy to be here.
Yeah. So, Patrick, you are a bit of a Renaissance man. You're a writer, you're a journalist, you're a voice actor. You got a comic series. Just incredible. And I got to meet you at PAX East. It was your first PAX East. Had a great time talking and whatnot. And I said, look, you got to come on the pod. So welcome to the show. Happy to have you here. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
Yeah, sure. My name is Patrick Hickey Jr. I am the co-owner of Legacy Comics. I am a voice actor in video games. I am the author of the Minds Behind the Games book series, which is currently wrapping up its 7th book in the series, 4 published in colleges like Harvard, UC Berkeley, Yale, Stanford. I'm also a 16-year tenured lecturer of English and journalism at Kingsborough Community College, where I also serve as the director of the journalism program.
Wow.
I'm also a dad, a husband, and I like long walks on the beach.
Oh, there you go. Who doesn't?
Well,
Who doesn't?
wait. Well, I have to ask a follow-up question. These long walks, is it like during the day, at night?
Oh yeah.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
Is it on the sand or is it on the
Well,
boardwalk?
see, this is
That's
the
the
thing. My school has its own beach.
Oh, for real? Oh, no way.
Yeah, for real. For real. Look it up. Kingsborough, man. They got their own beach.
I did
So
not
it's
know
like,
it was that
They
far
do.
down.
Actually,
Yeah.
They do.
They do.
I actually walk.
I didn't know.
I walk 5 miles a day each way to and from work. I listen to, I'm sorry, you may not remember him, but Jeff Jarrett, his podcast, a couple of other people's podcasts, including you guys. I've listened to you guys
Thank
several
you.
times.
Appreciate it.
Hey,
You're
all
welcome.
right.
It's one of the
All
reasons why I wanted to be here. You guys are good. You guys are good. You're good, yo. And I walk to work, get my endorphins going, and then I always end the walk with a nice little walk by the beach, and then I get ready and teach my classes for the day. So yeah.
All right, so you have to set the stage for me because I didn't go. This is the first year I didn't go to PAC. I couldn't go.
Yeah, we've been going since 2016, I think. So yeah.
Wow.
How on earth did this happen? He was standing next to the great Jeff Jarrett. J-E,
gotta bring that
double
up.
F, J-A, double R-E, double T.
Ow.
Jeff Jarrett.
Ow. The world's greatest
How?
singer, the world's greatest dancer,
Uh-huh.
and the world's greatest wrestler.
Uh-huh.
Don't piss him off.
He's got the world's greatest set of hair, I think.
He's got an amazing set of hair.
I'm just saying. Super nice guy,
like,
by
this
the
is
way. All right. I mean, I talked about
So
this
it's
a
not
little
even-
bit too.
It's not even just WWE. Like, he ran a company for 10 years that ran
TNA.
opposed to WWE, then started another promotion. He's produced films. He's done all sorts of stuff. The TNA Impact game sold over 1 million copies, so it's just like he's had his hand in several successful endeavors. I will say, though, in his defense, in this young, sexy bearded man's defense, that Jeff Jarrett did have a mask on at first.
That's right.
Okay.
So, but
That's
he was
no-
like, "Do you know
that's
who
no
I am?"
Yeah.
And he
Well,
pulled the Bully Ray. He's like, "Do you know who I am?" And he was like,
yeah. I was like, I do, but I had a little brain lapse. It was a bit of a long drive to come up, right? Because we were also.
But he
coming
got
up-
there.
Yeah.
Sure.
We were also coming
He
up
got
from
there,
New
though.
York, so
You-
it was like
you
a
should have
4.5,
phoned a-
5 hour
you sh-
ride.
You should have phoned a
It's tough.
friend.
It's
You
tough.
should have phoned a friend.
Well, I mean, I knew
I
when he said, "Hey, I'm Jeff Jarrett." I said, "I have to tell Dan. Dan's going to be over the moon about that."
I wish. Yeah.
And that was, we were just kind of like walking around, kind of getting the lay of the land, figuring out like what's going on. And, we came by the Wrestlequest booth, and I was telling my friend Anthony, I was like, oh my God, it's Wrestlequest, right? And I didn't know that you were doing the voices for Wrestlequest, and then also the championship boxing? Is that the other one?
Yeah, World Championship Boxing Manager too. Sure.
Okay. Okay. You wanna maybe talk about a little bit about how all that came about, how you got involved with that?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure. So I know James Deegan from MegaCat for probably like 8 years. So I am also the founder and owner of ReviewFix.com. It's an entertainment website with like over 23,000 articles. We've been around for like 15 years. It's kind of like a crappy bar that you love that you go to all the time, but like you respect the bartender, but it's like kind of like a dive bar and stuff like that. It's like a dive bar entertainment website. It's not the prettiest, but we've got some really good reporting on there. I've interviewed tons of professional wrestlers on there: Harley Race, DDP, Daniel Bryan, Dolph Ziggler, Paul Heyman, Chavo Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Ultimate Warrior, but like Philip Seymour Hoffman, Paul Walker, Channing Tatum. I've gotten some big interviews on that site. And I saw what James was doing with MegaCat like 8 years ago, making new games for the NES and the Genesis, and I was like, bro, like we should talk. And I interviewed him, and we just kept in contact. And then I started doing some voice acting after my first book came out, The Minds Behind the Games, and that's another story, how that all happened. But James one time was like, oh, so you do voice acting? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, oh, well, why don't we do this, da-da-da. And I did a couple of trailers here and there, da-da-da-da-da. And then he knows that I know my stuff when it comes to like video game history and stuff, and he also knows that I'm a huge wrestling fan. And so, in addition to all the wrestlers I've interviewed, I've probably interviewed the developers of about 60 wrestling games. And there's about 300 that have been created. So about 60 wrestling games I've interviewed the developers of. So when they approached me to do VO on WrestleQuest, I was like, absolutely. And then at first it was just like kind of like the ancillary characters and stuff like that. And then it was just like, oh, well, do this, do this, do this, do this, do this. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, do the licensed characters too. And I'm like, now I'm doing like 100 characters in the game. And oh my God, it's super challenging. And then that morphed into, oh, we're doing a sequel to a 30-year-old boxing series. And I'm like, oh, World Championship Boxing Manager. And they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, yeah, dude, that game is like, that's a super important game. You know, that's like one of the landmark, like, sports strategy games, like sports managerial sims. And they're like, do you want to do voice on it? I'm like, sure. So now I do voices of like 30 characters in that game as well. So it's my relationship with MegaCat is just a testament to like keeping bridges open, helping people when you can help them. And opportunities change and roles change throughout time. And if you're just open-minded and you always want to help people, people are going to grow with you. And that's what happened. MegaCat kept growing, I kept growing, and we just continued to work together in very small ways. And then when we found a way to really like work together, we took advantage of it. And I'm like super happy working for them. They are just like top notch. I don't even want to call them like an indie developer anymore, because it's just like I remember them from 8 years ago, and they're a much different company than they were then. So that's how it all started. And it's been a ton of fun to just work on WrestleQuest.
What was your most like challenging character to voice?
Oh, a lot of them are hard. And a lot of it is just so there's some macro voice acting and there's some micro voice acting. So I'm sure you guys know the difference. Where, you know, macro, you're doing lines where you've got to sound pretty much exactly like the person. And I can do that with like, you know, let me tell you something. Oh yeah, can you dig it? Like I can do that with the Macho Man, and I could do that with Hawk from Legion of Doom. Oh, what a rush, you know? But then it's just like other characters are a lot harder. So you've got to like nail down something that they do. So like Ted DiBiase, maybe it will be the laugh, you know, or you know what I'm saying? It's like a variation. You've got to be able to do something for those characters. So it's just like 100 characters. You're either going to read lines or you're going to like embody something about them. So every character's hard in its own way, but we ran into a situation where we were looking for a female voice actor to do female voices.
Sure.
And I'm like, ooh, before we get the female voice actor, they're like, yeah. I'm like, I need to do Luna Vachon.
Ha!
They're like, what? I'm like, I have to do Luna.
If you're gonna do one female wrestler, I mean, yeah,
just because I love her. She is so ahead of her time. She's such an ass kicker. But like doing her voice, I can do it, but it shreds the living out of my throat. But I was able to really like nail it. And then Zach Manco, the lead narrative, basically the mind behind, you know, WrestleQuest was like, yeah, dude, you nailed it. Like, and so that was the hardest part, because it's just like, yeah, doing all the male voices important, yeah, but like,
sure,
doing one of the most female, and this is the thing that a lot of people don't know about Luna Vachon. She's the first female character in a North American wrestling game ever. So for me, it's like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
wow,
yeah, she was in a North American wrestling game. I'm pretty sure it was Raw. She's a female. She's a playable character. She's the first female playable character. So to be able to voice her, super important to me. I mean, it's like the reason why I wanted to do World Championship Boxing Manager, because of like the 30-year history that the game has, you know? So it's just like the video game historian in me, whenever I'm picking roles and stuff, if a game has a little bit more of a lineage and a legacy and stuff, I totally like want to get involved in that. And then, so when you add in the pixel art of WrestleQuest and the turn-based Japanese RPG battle system, it's just like that has something like I want to be a part of something like that, you know? So yeah, the short answer to your question, Luna Vachon, absolutely, that was the hardest one to do.
Wow. There you go.
Oh.
Yeah. Now, I didn't get to play Championship Boxing, but I did afterwards kind of research it a little bit. I was a Commodore 64 kid. So, and surprising that it didn't, come across my brother's copy discs and all that, right? You figure it would be in all that. But I did a little bit of a deep dive on it. Probably the only boxing manager sim, right?
Yeah.
And then,
Ever?
Yeah.
I think so, right? Because they're all like, if they have any
And it's
sim
all
mode,
text. That's the best part. It's all text.
yeah.
And the
It's just
story
walls
is
and walls of text.
ridiculous. It's like, but it's funny. It's well written. It's funny. It's off the cuff. So that's the reason why I liked it, and then, doing the voice. So I do the voice acting of all 3 different color commentators in the game. And then, in the story mode, every male character. So imagine reading a 12-page script with like 6 different characters, and you have to play 6 different characters within the same script. It's super hard. And then, what doesn't make it easier is that like Zach Manco, the same writer for WrestleQuest, is also the writer on World Championship Boxing Manager. And oh man, he is hilarious. So just like you've got to read some of these lines that are ridiculous, just straight laced. And it's like I just remember one time I kept laughing, and it's like it should have taken me like a half hour to do some of these lines, and it took me like 55 minutes, 75 minutes. And after I just go on the Slack, and I'm just like, I can't stand you. And he's like, what's the matter? And I'm just like, I said dick like 6 times in like 2 sentences. And it was just like for a person's name, for a body part, for this, for that. I'm like, you're ridiculous. You are too much. And he's just like, it was good. I'm like, no, it was great. I was like, but it was just so hard to. So that game, I feel like WrestleQuest is gonna be a huge surprise to so many people, because a lot of people that aren't expecting it are gonna be just wowed at just how good the story is, how fun the gameplay is. But I feel like World Championship Boxing Manager is totally like a sleeper. This is a game that like I could totally see myself playing on my Switch while watching Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Like just chilling out and playing it. And like WrestleQuest, I could see myself playing this like on the bus or the train. Just like, I mean, it's over a 40-hour RPG. Like, it's not just like this cute little novelty. There's over 30 licensed characters in the game. There's over 14 playable characters in the game. Like, this is a real legit RPG, So I'm super excited for both of these games.
Yeah, I mean, I got to play a little bit of it, and I was over the moon. I sat down, and I think I talked to Zach. I talked to one of the developers, and he was kind of walking me through some of the stuff and whatnot. And I know I may not have known Jeff Jarrett, but I know, like, I used to watch wrestling when I was a kid, and I know the mechanics behind the scenes, and the the way the kind of matches go, and the hype and the pomp, and walking out onto the stage, and the back and forth on the mic is almost as important as the match itself. And there's a lot of that stuff. Like, I got to customize my entrance a little bit. I got to customize the moveset. I got to pick like dialogue options. You can kind of call on the you can call on the your manager, I think, to affect the match. There's a lot of like little things in there. You got to keep the audience happy, right? The hype meter, which has been in like some wrestling games. I forget, there was I think a lot of the Fire Pro ones have like an audience meter in there, right? And it was kind of cool to see those things in this game, let alone the amazing art style, the amazing voice acting, and is really good. Like it all, and I only played like a small bit of it. I know there's like so much more. I got to the backwoods town, and then I got into a couple matches and whatnot, and I mean, I really think it's going to be great.
The best way to explain it is it's kind of like if Earthbound and Super Mario RPG made love to like pro wrestling on the NES. That's the easiest way for me to like kind of break it down. And there's so many
incredible sight to even think of that.
There's so many bells and whistles and like little things that are going on during the match. It's like, it's little stuff. It's like after you win a match, the referee like slides out of the ring and it makes like this stupid face. Like there's so many like little things going on in this game. And like, it's a turn there. It's not necessarily a wrestling match. It's a turn-based RPG, but it has a pinning system, and you're not picking attacks like in an RPG. You're picking wrestling moves, and your summons are actually legendary wrestlers and not, Neo Bahamut or, Omni Slash and stuff like that. So it just like, it takes the best from Japanese RPGs. It takes the best from wrestling games and incorporates it. It never forgets that it's an RPG, but it also never forgets that it's a wrestling game either. That's like, those are the things that have attracted me the most to it. And being able to play it as much as I did at PAX, was so much fun. And then, I mean, it's so weird to watch a game. It's weird to watch a game that you do voiceover. And I mean, I've been in like 10 games before this one. So it's just like, I've been there before, and it's always a great experience. But it's weird. But it's like, this time it's even weirder because it's like, I'm literally talking to myself and answering myself in different voices, like while I watch,
all the characters.
So just all the characters, so it's just like, I'm Muchacho Man. And I'm like, oh yeah. And then I'm getting hit. The character that Muchacho Man is fighting is getting hit, and I hear, ugh! I'm like, my poor daughter, like I would be in my man cave just doing the, and she's like, what is going on? And I'm just like, sorry,
This is gonna fund your new Barbie playset.
Yes, well, that's why I told her, I'm like, you're going to summer camp this year because of this. So,
nice.
But it's just like stupid stuff of like, some of the parody characters and stuff, and trying to make it like you're a character that people will recognize but not be that character at the same time. So I'm doing, maybe you'll get this, incorrect math equations and being like, my body, so it's just like people that are wrestling fans will be like, oh, I know who he is, but my poor daughter is in the other room saying like, is daddy okay? He keeps screaming like his body, why is he saying 2 + 2 is 7? Why is he talking about 178% and da 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 da, so it's just, it's been so much fun. It's been so much fun to be a part of this game.
Now, are we getting a physical of this game? Do you know? Or is this
I don't know.
Just digital?
Or maybe if I did know, I can't say yet.
I was trying to get this exclusive.
Okay.
Yeah, I know you were trying. It's okay. And that's the thing. I've been a journalist for 16 years, so I get it. I completely get it. So, but it's like, I do think like, Megacat has done a lot of stuff on Evercade, so they have some physical stuff, but most of their stuff on like the Switch and PS4 is all digital. I do think like, man, if any of their games deserved like a super sexy physical version, it would totally be this one. But I just, bottom line is like, I just can't answer that question for you guys. So
they publish their own games too, is that right?
Yes, they publish their own games. They work with publishers. So I mean, that's why I said like 8 years ago they were like this adorable indie outfit out of Pittsburgh making their own NES and Genesis games, but now it's like, now they have games on Switch, Xbox One, PS4, PS5.
Yeah.
They have come. They are the Virginia Slims of professional video games. Like, they have come a long way, baby.
Wow.
I'm super proud of them because I've watched them grow for such a long time. And to be a part of, like, I've been a part of Wrestlequest maybe now for like 16 months. And the game's been in development for like, close to 4 years. So,
wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's like, I remember when they were first announcing it and they were talking about it and things like that. And I was proud of them then, but now to be a part of it. And then like the reception we got at PAX was just insane. We had lines there, people playing it. And, like I said, it's going to blow a lot of people away. A lot of people are going to be like, oh, this is just some cute little pixel art game. No. Oh, this is just some like, kind of old school RPG. No.
Yeah.
Like, it's got so many good things going for it. So
nice.
Well, it was the game. What showcase did we first see that? Was the game announced at?
I think Xbox ID, at the end of the show.
Yeah,
I think that's right. Yeah.
And that was one of the two games that caught our eye, and we were like, I gotta play this game.
Yep.
Yep. I think like at PAX, like if Ninja Turtles wasn't there, I don't think there was another game that got as much attention as we did, and they had a massively huge booth and stuff like that. And
well, how was your first PAX? You've never been you've never been to PAX before. How was that?
Yeah, I've never been to PAX before. I mean, I've done a ton of New York Comic Cons. I've covered the Sundance Film Festival. I've covered the Tribeca Film Festival. Like, I've done tons. I've been a journalist for almost 20 years, so I've done tons of cons before. But it's just like I've been voice acting for like 5 years, and my daughter's 5, and my first book came out like 5 years ago. So it's just like I've kind of made a conscious decision to do everything digital and to stay like within like the tri-state area of like New York, New Jersey, like Connecticut and stuff, because I just didn't want to be away from my kids, you know? And then it just got to the point where it was like COVID, so we were extra close during that entire process. And then when Wrestlequest started to get like really big and they asked me to go to Boston, I haven't been to Boston in like 15 years. And I went to my wife, I was like, listen, my daughter's in pre-K, my son's walking, daddy needs to go. Like, you know, it's like The Rock in that movie, like daddy's going to work. It's like daddy needs to go to work, you know? And my wife completely supported me. She's great. And it was a great experience. I told them, like, because we did a panel on the history of wrestling video games. So we did a panel together, myself, James Deegan, Zach Manco, and Jeff Jarrett. And it went great. We filled a room, we kicked some ass. But then, like, just manning the booth, which, you know, they told me flat out, they're like, we just need you to, you know, we need you to kick butt at the panel. And that's it. And I was just like, nah, man, I'm a member of this team. Like, I want to be a part of the booth. Like, and I was playing the game with people, and I was helping out with Boxing Manager as well, because we were sharing the booth with Boxing Manager. So it was just like, I was totally working my ass off the entire time that I was there, but it was so much fun. You know, I would definitely go again. And some people told me that it wasn't as well attended as some of the other years and things like that. But I mean, I had a great time. I would totally go again.
Yeah, I think COVID had a lot to do with it. And that's where that sentence begins and ends. I don't want to speculate on anything else, because PAX has always been like packed. I went the inaugural year, and then I've been going pretty much ever since. Me and Dan went for the show in 2016, and we've been going ever since. And 2020 was a little weird, because that was like right as the pandemic was like coming down, like before New York like totally went and shut down. Yeah. And Sony, who is normally there, has the big spot in front, and they paid for that space. And when we got there and we're going down the escalator, there's a big empty space. And it's like, well, it's going to be a lot of places to sit for people. So that's a good thing. Yeah. Capcom wasn't there, and half of Square Enix was there. The American side of Square Enix was there. So it was like a little bit weird. And I think it was the same thing this time. There's a lot of great stuff there. And I think,
like that it was mostly indie, to be honest. That didn't bother me, you know? Yeah. So, I mean, you know what you're going to get from a lot of the AAA companies, and they have, you know, they have their Xbox Live Showcase and their Nintendo Direct and stuff. Just, you know, PAX being like, you know, Penny Arcade Expo, like how it originally was. I mean, I like that. So that doesn't bother me, you know?
Yeah, and I think I mean, you definitely picked the right con to go to. New York Comic Con is good. I think the ones that are down in like DC, like MagFest and whatnot, they're good. Too Many Games is good, a little more like retro stuff. But like Penny Arcade, Gabe and Mike really put in. Well, I guess ReedPop now, but they really put in the effort for it. Make sure that everyone's catered to. You know, if you like board games, card games, indie games. Whatever, you know, cosplay, whatever you want to do, like everything is there at the show. And I mean, it was like really cool. I'm glad you had a great time there. Are you gonna go again? No, you gonna go again next year? Is that on the
if I'm invited, absolutely, sure. You know, like and that's the thing. It's like I'm on another game right now called BPM Boy from Retro Ninja Games. It's basically like Super Monkey Ball meets like Marble Madness. It's developed by Tony Barnes, who did Strider 2014 on PS4. He also did Buffy the Vampire Slayer on Xbox, and he was on the teams for Desert Strike, Jungle Strike, Urban Strike, Crew Bowl, Mutant League Football. Like, he's a legend.
Right.
So like I'm totally like down to like promote that game, and like wherever he wants to go, I'll go. But like there's a couple of other games that I'm working on too that I have NDAs on that I can't talk about. So like if next year there's a spot for me to go and do my thing, I'm totally down. And that's the thing, it's like I'm still a working journalist, but it's just like I don't think I ever want to cover another con as a journalist. You know, like I just feel like I'm writing all these video game history books. I'm interviewing all these developers and stuff like that. I think like that's like my niche now. And I covered like New York Comic Con for like, you know, 6 or 7 years straight. And I went to like, you know, all these smaller cons. It's like I feel like I'll interview an indie dev, you know, once a week on my site and help out the industry that way. But it's just like, going to cons and like I remember what that was like. interviewing 15, 20 devs in a day and then going to like a Starbucks or a McDonald's after and editing all of your audio to get it on the site, hoping that you get some traffic to bring up your Google numbers so you can sell some Google ads and stuff like that. And it's just like with 2 kids and stuff, I just feel like I got to work a little bit smarter, and not as hard as I used to when I was in my 20s. But like, I would definitely attend again as voice talent or as a writer or anything like that. Sure. Absolutely.
Sure. Well, you mentioned you mentioned the book series, the minds behind the games, right? Why don't you talk a little bit about that? What was kind of the impetus for that? How that all kind of came about?
Sure. So, what happened was, my wife was pregnant, and I was a journalist for over a decade, and I'm kind of like, why haven't I written a book yet? I should probably start this before my daughter's born, And I remember going to my boss at the time, like, I'm going to write a book. And he's like, yeah, you go write a book, kid. And I'm just like, okay. So I go in my man cave and I've got over 3,000 games. And I'm just like, what am I going to write this book on? And I just start looking around and I start pulling out games, pulling out like King's Bounty on the Genesis, Mutant League Football, Wonder Boy and Monsterland, Boy and His Blob, Yar's Revenge. And I'm like, I know all these developers. The Wikipedia pages on these games suck. I should do like a coffee table book of like just interviews and like fun facts about the games, blah, blah, blah. So I reach out to like these 6 developers and I'm like, if half of them get back to me, I'll have enough to like start the book. And like within a week, all 6 got back to me. And I start writing these like cute, short little glitzy chapters and I send them to, I'll never forget it. I sent it to like 3 different publishers, one of them being McFarlane, like on Thanksgiving. And then like 3 days later, McFarlane got back to me and was like, yeah, we want to do this, but you're a college professor, you're an accomplished journalist and stuff like that. You want to do like a coffee table book. We want you to instead to go like a little bit deeper. And like, they looked up some of my other stuff. They looked up like my master's thesis, which was on professional wrestling and how people break into professional wrestling. And I worked my ass off on that. And they're like, we want like each chapter to be something like that. And I was like, wow. So you want like an ESPN like 30 for 30 like on each game, and they're like, oh my god, that's like a great idea, go ahead. So then I'm like, so I'm gonna need like 25 games to do this right, and they're like, yeah. I ended up with 36 by the end of the first book, and it worked out really good. And then what ended up happening was the first book started to do well, and I wasn't even necessarily thinking about doing a sequel. But then what happened was I pitched so many developers that like the developers that didn't get in contact with me by the time I finished the first book started getting in contact with me for the second. So then I'm just like, oh, I don't know if I'm doing another book yet. And then I had like 20, 30 developers that were like, yeah, we want to do something with you. So I was just going to do this massive sequel. And I pitched the sequel to my publisher, and my publisher's like, hell no. And I'm like, wait, what? And they're like, you have enough content here for like 3 different books. They're like, for the minds behind adventure games, for the minds behind sports games, and for the minds behind shooter games. And I'm just like, oh my god, you're right. So they're like, let's sign a 3-book deal right now. And they gave me due dates for all 3, and I banged out all 3 of them. And then while I was finishing the shooter book, I was like, listen, we've done genres, so let's do consoles. And they're like, well, what are you talking about? I'm like, let's do a Genesis book. Let's do a PlayStation book. And they're like, okay. So then I was basically writing 3 books at the same time. And then I finished the PlayStation book, the minds behind the PlayStation games, which is like I sent it in like last year, so it's basically being edited and laid out as we speak. I was finishing the PlayStation book like right at the height of COVID, and I'm just like, I need to do a PS2 book because the PS2 to me is just like it's such a great system. So that was the last one. I just finished that. I just sent that in to my publisher. So that's seven books. And each chapter just takes a behind the scenes look at the game, and I interview the developers, the producers. Some games it's like the localization team. Like I find like really cool people to tell me really cool stories about the games, and they're all real stories. It's not like hobnobbing or like, oh, video games are great. It's like I slept in my car for 9 months to make this game, or everyone thinks that this game is great, but my company went out of business because of it, and we didn't make any money. But like all real stories that like if you want to get involved in the video game industry, the this will make you think about all the positives and the negatives. You know, I tell all these people, like, don't pull any punches with me. You can curse, you can be real. Like, I want people to feel connected with you when you tell me your story. And it's men, women, you know, it's all people of all different shapes, sizes, ethnicities, religions, just saying why they love or have strong feelings about the video game industry. So that's, in a nutshell, that's what the Minds Behind the Games book series is all about.
I'm curious, what do you think is like the most interesting, exciting, terrible, or best type of story that you've been told in one of your books?
Oh, there's so many, but like I remember one story in specific. I'll never forget it because it's like my wife was in labor, and I had gotten the answers like 2 or 3 days before, and I had glanced them over, but I hadn't read all of them. And because of COVID, I couldn't be in triage with her. I had to like stay outside until she was like ready to really like get going to give birth. So then I start reading these quotes while I'm in like the waiting room for my son to come into this world. And it was from one of the North American English localizers for Final Fantasy VII.
Oh.
And he's basically saying that there's like 20 guys playing through the game, going through all of the dialogue in the game to make sure that it is like as American friendly as possible, and they're all playing the game at the same pace at the same time. And then one guy goes, "Oh man, oh man," and another guy goes, "What?" And he goes, "No, don't play anymore, no." And then another guy's like, "Oh man, Sephiroth just killed Aerith."
Spoilers.
And these guys are all experiencing it for the first time. These are the first people in America experiencing this death at the same time. So you've basically got a whole room of men crying over what's happening. It's one of my favorite stories that I've ever been told about video games. Another one was probably the story of EA and the original Madden. How Sega was totally pissed that EA was reverse engineering the Genesis and was creating their own cartridges. So what they tried to do was they tried to buy Madden from EA because they were not happy with Joe Montana football. And when they saw Madden play, they knew Madden was light years ahead of Joe Montana football. But what happened was the assistant producer of the time, Michael Brook, on Madden, who was acting as the producer because the producer was on vacation while all of this was going on, he told Trip Hawkins, do not sell this game to Sega. So they wouldn't sell it to Sega. So then Sega came up with another plan, which was basically like, all right, so if you're not going to buy Madden, if you're not going to let us buy Madden off of you, we want you to help us fix Joe Montana. So what happened was Sega let go of like the entire development team for Joe Montana football, and EA finished Joe Montana, didn't get any credit for it, and so basically EA has the best football game on the Genesis, and then they help shape their competition. But there's another funny story connected to that, where while they're finishing Joe Montana football, they put instant replay in Joe Montana football and not in Madden. It worked, and it worked great, and they were like, oh my god, what did we do? So then Michael Brook, in his infinite wisdom, and I mean this, he's one of the smartest people I've ever met in my entire life. I love him. He wrote the foreword to my Minds Behind the Sports Games. He goes, man, we just called up Sega, and Sega was like, oh, how you guys doing? Are you guys going to make deadline? Are you guys doing great? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, yeah, we're doing great, but man, that instant replay is really like causing us problems. If we could take that out, we'd be finished with the game right now. We could send you a build right now. And Sega was just like, yeah, take it out. Not a big deal. So that instant replay ended up in the next Madden, and obviously not in the next Joe Montana. Yeah. So each chapter of the book, so just like now I'm through 7 books. So I mean, there's over 200 games featured in my books. There's stories like that in every chapter where you're just like, wait, they cut what out of the game? What that could have been in the game, or that happened? And it's like I try and annoy the crap out of every single developer until I get something good from them, you know? Right. So it's just like something like A Boy and His Blob, I can get a great story from, but then SOCOM for PS2, I can get a great story. And it's just like, if you love games, these books are like something that will be totally up your alley. They're just a lot of fun to read, and they just read very homey, good conversation back and forth, and they're not lazily written. Like, there's a bunch of really great video game books out there, but like some of them are done like they're all interviews and they're all done in Q&A.
Right.
I'm like, why? Oh my God. Like, I'm a classically trained journalist. I have 3 degrees in journalism. I teach journalism. I'm like, no, people like deserve a well-written, like, you know, book. So I pride myself on like telling really good stories and having them written in a way that make them as digestible and fun for the reader as possible.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, that's fantastic. That's awesome. It's great when you get to, I mean, obviously you love video games, you love writing. How do I blend these two together? Right.
Yeah.
And you know, it's great to see. So you say that you're working, or you just finished book 7, the PlayStation book, yes?
PlayStation 2. Yeah, the mine's behind
okay.
PlayStation 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
When is that when is that coming out? Does that have a release date?
I would say the Minds Behind PlayStation 2 games would probably be out like next spring.
Okay.
So the Minds Behind Genesis games is supposed to be coming out like later this year, and the Minds Behind the PlayStation games is supposed to be coming out later this year too. They've been a little delayed because of COVID and, you know, paper shortage and this and that. So but I've had a book come out, one book come out a year for the past 5 years, and I don't think that's going to change this year. We're definitely going to get at least one of those books this year, and then we have 2 more. We have 2 more coming. So
nice. Okay. Nice. And I mean, beyond that, we also have to talk, and it's amazing. We need to know what your secret is. Is there do you have like time stop powers that you can get more hours in the day? Because I mean, it's amazing. We have a hard enough time just doing the podcast and doing our 9 to 5. Yeah, it's a lot. But you also have a comic series, yes?
I have 3 comic book series.
3 comic.
I co-own a comic book company. Right. Yeah. So I have 3 comic book series. One is Condrey. That was my first comic book series. It's basically like, I call it a gritty Brooklyn noir. If you like stories like Daredevil, Punisher, Sin City, if you like writers like Brian Michael Bendis and Frank Miller, you'll definitely dig it. It's about a homeless man in New York City that is on the hunt for the men responsible for the death of his father. He's a victim of the system. He was basically in foster care after his parents were killed by this gang running New York City. So it's super bloody. It's super gritty. So that's Condrey. That's like kind of our flagship title at Legacy Comics. The other one is called The Job, and it's about a professional wrestler that and his wife that he loses every match, and but he has the nicest gear. He's got the hottest valet, and he's got a great car. And people are like, how? You get paid like $30 a match. I don't understand. And he's like, I rob banks. And they go, what? And he's like, oh, no, nothing. But he does. He robs banks, and his hot wife, valet is his getaway driver. And that's what they do. So it's just that's a lot of fun. That series. So Kroom is my third series. It's Kroom. It's actually based off of an indie game that I wrote the story for. And I do voice acting on the game. It's kind of in hiatus because of COVID, but the lead animator on Kroom is Pete Paquette. He's actually on the Overwatch team now. He's a former lead designer on BioShock Infinite. He's worked on Gladius, on Madden. He did animation on the first 3 Ice Age films. So what happened was when that game kind of like got halted because of COVID, and I started the comic book company, I'm like, let's turn it into a comic. Because it just like lended itself perfectly to like a 6-issue miniseries. It's a 6-level old school, like Zelda meets like Akari Warriors type game, top down, like sword play, gunplay, action RPG. So I'm like, why don't we do a 6-issue series and make each issue a level in the game? So every issue ends in a boss fight. And the people that work in the comic book company are like, that sounds really killer. So that's the third one. We've got 4 other series. I'm super excited about all of those. One of them is called Renfield Visions of Madness. It's actually a Bram Stoker estate-approved prequel to the Dracula series. So, like, we actually got the support of Bram Stoker's estate to do a prequel. So that just 2 days ago, I mean, May 26th yesterday, was the 125th anniversary of the publishing of Bram Stoker's Dracula. So it's one of my favorite books ever. So when we were approached, we actually got approached during our Kickstarter. Our Kickstarter got funded in like 3.5 hours, and people were just approaching us left and right. Can we do a comic with you? Can we do a comic with you? And some of them were just awful. And then one of them, it was just like, oh, would you want to do something with Dracula? And Dracula is like out of copyright and trademark. Like it's been around so long that like anyone can do a Dracula story.
Right. It's public domain. Yeah.
Yeah, it's in public domain. Yeah. But when the Stoker family approached us and they were like, we want you to do like an 8-page comic using Bram's notes that were never in the Dracula book, we're like, yeah, we got to do this. So yeah, so it's nuts. We did that, and then we've got 3 other series besides that. One is called The Legend of the Night Owl, and it's basically like the Warriors movie meets like Streets of Rage. Yeah. And the writer on this, Afram Jambalai, he's a 3rd degree black belt in Shotokan, and he's a stuntman that's been on Daredevil. He's been on Law and Order. Like, so it's just like an ass kicker writing an ass kicker, comic. Then we have Athos, which is our only superhero tale, and it's a really cool twist on the superhero tale. I won't give too much away, but it's basically like, man, like what if Superman like had a nervous breakdown and didn't know like what was good and what was bad anymore? Like it's just like a really cool look at that. So those are pretty much like our books. We also have a manga, an American manga that we just signed called Godfoe Universe, which is really cool too. We're taking pre-orders for that, and it's been killing it. We've gotten so many pre-orders from it. The art is amazing on it. The writing is really solid. So in like 5 months, we went from, yeah, let's do this comic book thing, to like publishing 8 books, and now we've got 3 more coming. And all I'm gonna say is like keep your eyes on us, because man, the next, like, if things go the way that they're supposed to go in the next like 3 or 4 months, we could be making a couple of really big splashes. So it's just been, for me, Condrey. I wrote Condrey when I was 18. I'm 38 now, and I just could never find an artist. And then I found an artist. And then when we were getting ready to show it to people, COVID happened. So Dark Horse, Image, all these places, they weren't accepting submissions. And then the way it happened was I interviewed a owner of a new comic book company. We signed on with them. We did like 4 issues with them. And then I'm just like, I'm the type of person where if I'm not working for someone that like I completely, utterly respect, I'm miserable. So it's like if I walk into like an office and I'm just like, my boss is cool, but I think I work harder than him, or I think I could do it differently, then I'm not going to be there for a long time.
Damn. Well, that's amazing. That's wild.
And my wife was like,
"Oh,
what?
Oh,
can you hear me?"
Yes, we can hear you now. There was a minor hiccup.
Oh, sorry. But like, yeah, I was complaining to my wife all the time, like, well, what if we did this? Or what if we did that? My wife was like, just start your own comic book company. Just do it. Just go ahead, do it. And I'm just like, okay. And we did. And I mean, it was wild. That first day, man, 3.5 hours, we got to like, $3,000 on Kickstarter, and we were funded that for like not before dinner, and then we just kept going and going, and it's been a lot of fun. It's been challenging, but it's been a lot of fun. So it's just like the voiceovers, the comics, the books. It's just like I'm trying super hard to make like all of my dreams happen. Like one of our artists, Steve Condrey, he says all the time, I'm trying to make 10-year-old Steve happy. He goes, so like when I look in the mirror, he goes, I see like the 10-year-old version of myself, and I'm like, would he think that I'm cool? And I'm just like, I really think the same way. Like it's kind of like all the stuff, like I'm getting paid now to do all of the stuff that my parents said there's no future in any of it.
Right.
Right. I can see that.
So it's just like I'm super happy right now. Like these are all the things that I've always like, wanted to do, and I'm happy that I'm healthy enough to continue to do it, and I'm happy that I got to where I am at a relatively young age that I can enjoy a little bit of a career, So all is good, man. Nice.
Well, we definitely respect the hustle. I mean, that's
thank you.
That's some wild stuff. And we do want to say again, it's amazing for you to come on the show.
Thank you.
Talk about kind of all this stuff. Now, before we let you go, though, we have a tradition here at Rated G that we came up with a while ago from our first guest up until Patrick Hickey. We ask every one of our guests the first time they come on the show. This is the most important question you will ever be asked in your entire life. All right. We need to know which game is the greatest of all time. Is that now Super Mario Brothers 3 or Super Mario World? And we're going to need you to defend your answer.
So I'm just going to preface this by saying that I absolutely adore both games. I love Super Mario Brothers 2 because it's so different, but we all know why it's so different, you know? But I just feel like Super Mario Brothers 3 changed the mold so much. And then the whistles, and it just allowed you to do so many different things. It played with the Mario formula in a way that I think no other Mario game prior did. And as much as I love Super Mario World, as much as I love Yoshi, as much as I love that goddamn cape, as much as I love the killer score and the improved graphics and stuff, it's still a pretty linear platformer where you're going from like place to place, like each level one by one and stuff, and you can still go back, and it's a great game. It's a 9.9. But man, that gauntlet that you have to run at the end of Mario 3, I don't think that's been done in another Mario game ever quite the same way. So for me, like when I beat Super Mario World, I was just like, yeah, can't stop, won't stop. When I beat Super Mario Brothers 3, I was like, I felt like I had been in a fight. Because like going through all of those long ass levels. So for me, it's like if I had to pick between Mario Brothers 3 and Super Mario World, I would pick Super Mario Brothers 3.
Sorry, Dan. He hit you with the left hook when your guard was down.
I'm sorry. It's a hard decision because I love that goddamn cape. I can fly. I want to fly with that cape.
Well, the special world is super challenging, more challenging than any other Super Mario game. Come on.
I mean,
and then the ending of Mario World. It hits you right there, you know, and then all the different Yoshis.
Come on, keep going. I'm sweating. I'm changing his mind already. Come on,
but I can't change my mind. I can't because you know what it is though too. It's like I think I was a much better gamer by the time Mario World came around.
Yes,
same.
You were.
So I feel like maybe I didn't appreciate it as much. But like Mario 3, I was not the gamer that I would eventually become. So like for me to log in all of those hours and finally beat, I felt like the payoff was better in Mario 3. The gameplay may in fact be better in Mario World, absolutely. But I feel like the payoff for the completion of the game, I think Mario 3 did a better job. So that's why I have to stick with Mario 3. It's hard. It's like when people go to me because like I'm a big Pokemon guy, and they'll be like, "What's your favorite Pokemon?" And I'm Pokemon game, and I'll just be like, Red and Blue, and they're like, but why? It's so slow, it's so shitty, it's so this, it's so that, and I'm just like, yes, but you don't understand. I played the game until the timer stopped working. You know, it was like 999 hours and 59 minutes. Like,
you basically
and it's
hit
like
the kill screen, yeah.
I haven't done that in any other Pokemon game since, and I've played hundreds of hours of other Pokemon games, but I have not played 1,000 hours of another Pokemon game since. So it's hard. I'm sorry, guys.
No. Don't apologize.
Be sorry. No,
don't apologize.
Okay. I accept your apology.
Sorry. You can see the poster frame in the back. It's weird. Dan has one of these Harry Potter poster frames. Mario's crying right now, but it's okay because you picked the correct answer. Oh, love it. Patrick.
So now I have a question for you guys, though. Let me turn it around, though.
Sure.
NWO or Bullet Club?
NWO, 100%. Change the game.
I don't know.
The original NWO. The original NWO. There were like 5 different NWOs.
Yes. Okay.
Original NWO.
You can tell a lot about a person by what faction they like in professional wrestling. The same way you could tell a lot about a person by the game, which Mario they like. But that's the thing. It's like, Mario 3 and Mario World.
It's tough.
Pre Eric Bischoff taking over as the mouthpiece. Ted DiBiase being
Ted DiBiase is one of the nicest people I've ever met in my entire life, I have to say. Like I interviewed him one time and it was over the phone And I was like, oh, you're going to be like in Jersey in like 3 weeks, right? And he's like, yes. I'm like, before I publish this, would it be okay if I stopped by and like took a couple pictures of you for the article? And he was like, yeah, sure. When I went there like 3 weeks later, it's Ted DiBiase. He's been interviewed a ton of times in those 3 weeks and stuff. I was like, hey, I'm Patrick. And he's like, oh yeah, you interviewed me a couple weeks ago. You were talking about Ted Jr. So he remembered everything. Super sweet man. So, and a great talker. And a much better wrestler than anyone ever gives him credit for. Like, so
should have
good.
been WWF champion.
Totally agreed.
Been WWF champion.
Totally agreed. So, but sorry for turning the tables on you and asking you guys a question.
No, but that's the NWO when he was like the money behind everything.
Oh yeah, yep, yeah, because it all made sense, you know.
Yeah,
sure.
Good deal.
Awesome.
Good deal. Do you also have a favorite wrestling game? What's your jam?
Woo. So it's probably
favorite style, maybe. I mean, because there's like the
I would say
ones, the Sim style.
Oh
ones,
yeah. Oh, it's definitely the Aki Nintendo 64 ones. But the thing is, I have I run a group on Instagram. I'm not sure if you guys have seen the hashtag before, Retro Game Mafia, and that's my hashtag. I created it. We've got over like 40,000 posts on it and stuff like that. And me and 2 other guys created it like maybe like 4 or 5 years ago, and we all support each other on our birthdays and stuff like that. So one of the guys in the Mafia gave me a English modded Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, which is basically like WWE No Mercy, but with all Japan, New Japan, like all the Japanese guys in it, and it's in English. It's one of my prized possessions. So when I went to PAX this year, I actually took it with me, and I had the whole Mega Cat team sign it for me because it's like my favorite game, and I had these guys sign it. But like, that is a smoking good wrestling game. That it's No Mercy, but with like Vader, Stan Hansen, like all of like the New Japan guys. It's so much fun. It's so good. So that's my jam.
Cool. Oh, you'll actually appreciate this. It's a little bit tangential, but it all kind of ties in. Have you been to Japan before?
I wish.
Maybe
one day.
Okay.
One day.
Since you're a wrestling fan, I highly recommend this. I think we were in Shinjuku. I went in 2015. Well, a bunch of my friends have been before. They're big Japanophiles, and they're like, oh, we got to go again. I said, all right, I'm going to go this time. Now I have a real job. I got money and all that. And some of us ended up booking an Airbnb that was like off the main like city area. So it was like maybe like a mile out of the way. And we were walking there the first day, and we were walking down this main road, and there was this place, the Ribera Steakhouse. Famous. On the outside, on the logo, is a picture of Hulk Hogan in the Ribera Steakhouse.
Oh my God.
And the smell that came out of this place was heavenly. We said, oh my God, we have to go back, right? And we went in there, and we met the guy, super nice guy. He made us a plate of steak and corn with a pat of butter and like a little piece of bread on the side. It's amazing. But then you kind of look up, and he's got everybody has been there, and they're all just they've signed the things, and I'm like, oh my God, like I was recognizing so many people, like but
not Jeff Jarrett.
No, not Jeff Jarrett.
I had to. I'm sorry you opened the door for that.
I had a bit of a
no, that's awesome.
But look it up, the Ribera Steakhouse. You'll definitely get.
I'm gonna totally check it out.
And
funny side story too.
Yeah.
And watch, Patrick's gonna go there, and when he goes there, he's gonna see Jeff Jarrett up.
He may have been on the wall. He probably was on the wall.
Tag you.
I mean, like legit, everybody, all the Japanese guys, all the NWO, WCW, WWF, there's just like a who's who of people. Like whenever they went over to Japan to wrestle, they would come by the Ribera Steakhouse and sign the thing and whatnot, and it became like this huge thing. I looked it up afterwards. I was like, it was amazing and like super nice guy.
Speaking of Hogan in Japan, like I know so many people that just shit all over like Hogan all the time in the United States, like he has the leg drop and stuff. If you watch some of his stuff in Japan, we're talking drop kicks, we're talking power bombs. Like that guy worked in Japan. So you've never seen a Hulk Hogan match until you've seen him fight like in Japan, like some of his best work. So
yeah. Nice.
Now I want steak and corn.
Oh
See
my
what you
God.
did?
You got to go. Take a look at this place. It was probably one of the best meals I've ever had.
Nice.
Just great. But yeah, well, we want to thank you for coming on again. This has been amazing. Before you
It's
go,
been
though,
amazing to be here.
do you want to plug any of your stuff?
Yeah, sure. I want to plug everything. So,
All right,
you guys can find me on Instagram at Patrick Hickey Jr. It's PatrickHickeyJr. That's like my main social media. I'm on Facebook as well, but like Instagram is where I rock most of my time. I'm also, like I said, the co-founder and editor-in-chief of Legacy Comics, COMIX. You can go to legacy_comics on Instagram, find out all about all of our books. So like I said, we've got something for everyone. Superhero tales, gritty noir tales, video game inspired tales, all sorts of crazy stuff. You can go there. And then, you must go to WrestleQuest.com and check those guys out. That game is amazing. You can also go to Ziggurat Interactive for more information. ZigguratInteractive.com to find out more about World Championship Boxing Manager, and also check out RetroNinja.com to find out more about BPM Boy. So I'm super excited. Got so much cool stuff coming out. I can't wait for the summer to hit. More books to come out, more games to come out, and just for more people to experience all the crazy, wacky stuff I've been doing in my life. So thank you guys for having me and giving me a platform to share some stuff for a while. Super appreciated.
Love it. Well, check out all of Patrick's work. Check out his comics, his writing. Check out his voice acting stuff. Definitely take a look at Championship Boxing and the WrestleQuest. They are shaping up to be amazing games. Yeah, that is episode 318 in the books, folks. We want to thank you guys for listening to the show, for liking, commenting, and doing all the good stuff that you guys do. If you want to interact with us or Patrick, and we know that you do, you can find him and us on Instagram. We are also on Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube at Rated G for Gamers. Also, we are part of the Gaming Podcast Alliance. You can go there and check out all the fine podcasts featured on there at gamingpodcastalliance.com if you're looking for more gaming goodness. So, please listen, like, rate, review, and subscribe. And as always,
Keep gaming.
Oh, yeah. Can you dig it?